I finally saw No Time to Die yesterday. Yep, yesterday. You can blame the Australian government, specifically this clown, as to why it has taken me so long to experience the finale of Daniel Craig's tenure as James Bond. In short, I loved it. It's epic, explosive, unbelievably pretty. I mean, how unfair is it that the real world does not look anything like this? And most of all, it was unbelievably touching, which is not the term I expected to use when describing a movie like this. Truth be told, I had never really been a fanatic of Bond. I like some of the Brosnan movies. I'd only seen a handful of ones before that, such as On Her Majesty's Secret Service, which is brilliant, by the way, and referenced many times in this film.
We have all the time in the world.
As well as the weird non-canon one with Woody Allen. Yep, that's a real thing that exists. Go Google that. But Daniel Craig's Bond was different. He was meaner, he was tortured, he wasn't cheesy in any way whatsoever. Because of this, I immediately responded to this version as he was closer to like a cowboy than, as GoldenEye remarks,
a sexist, misogynist dinosaur, a relic of the Cold War.
Craig's Bond meant a little more than the others, as did the films he was a part of. As I was watching No Time to Die, I felt something that I hadn't with any Bond movie, including the 4 other Daniel Craig films. I felt real, genuine, legitimate emotional stakes. There was a real sense of impact and finality to this movie that the others, by virtue of them being a part of a franchise that needs to continue, a singular episode if you will, really couldn't. With No Time to Die, everything was on the table. Anything could happen. And it did. Going into the film, I was worried that because it was Craig's finale, they would go all out with everything. And when I say that, I mean all out with the action and not as much time and focus on character and actual pathos. I'd seen this sort of thing happen before in a little movie called Spectre, which I like, by the way. That's a testament to a film just being a little too goddamn much. And don't get me wrong, at 2 hours and 40 something minutes, No Time to Die does indeed go all out with the action, but it also takes time to focus on real emotional stuff, the kind of things that audiences attach themselves to. No Time to Die's director, Cary Joji Fukunaga, brings the emotional stakes to Craig's Bond in a truly unique and franchise-defining way. Instead of going big, Fukunaga goes small, literally, by introducing Bond and Madeline Swan's child. By establishing this character, Fukunaga helps completely separate No Time to Die from any of the other previous Bond entries, bringing this character down to a super relatable and honest level. Instead of being desperate to save the world because he's the movie's hero and he kinda has to, Bond is desperate to save the world for someone, for his daughter. In all the previous movies, from Spectre to Tomorrow Never Dies, Bond is saving the world. He's got an invested interest, of course, because, you know, it'd be kinda bad if the world ends. But as an audience, we never really buy any of these threats. I mean, we know Bond's gonna save the day because they gotta pump out those sequels, man. There's a reason as to why Skyfall is regarded as one of the best Bond films, because the emotional stakes of it are fairly intimate, concluding with the death of M at the hands of the film's antagonist, despite all of Bond's ridiculous efforts to save her. With No Time to Die, Fukunaga completely avoids the disingenuous nature of third act stakes in most of these movies. If Bond had to save the world in this movie and there was no daughter, no possibility of a future, I don't think we'd really care that much, because the world is always in danger in these kinds of films. It's always about the death of billions. There's always someone playing God. It's part of the reason why a lot of Marvel films feel insincere when compared to quote-unquote real films that are smaller and more intimate with their emotional stakes. It's like the other day, okay? Ridley Scott made this great point about superhero movies and how they rely way too much on CGI and flashy action beats to entertain audiences, distracting them, instead of targeting their emotions and actually connecting to them on a somewhat deeper level. He was right, by the way, and No Time to Die proves why. The best parts of this movie are not when ridiculous shit is going down, but rather in quiet moments between two people. Moments where the camera lingers and just holds on characters, allowing scenes to end in a natural way instead of shoehorning a joke or zinger. I mean, this scene with Bond and Swan is a particular highlight. I mean, a mainstream blockbuster being fucking romantic? I mean, those colors? What is going on? It's great. Anyway, there's this trope of like a grizzled older man being saved, having his soul rescued by a young child. In most cases, it's either a daughter or a daughter figure. It worked in Logan, it worked in Doctor Sleep, and now it has successfully worked in Bond. In saving his daughter, Bond gives his child something he and the movie's antagonist, Safin, never got: a chance. In one of my favourite scenes in the film, Bond confronts Safin and literally addresses this very thing, like verbatim.
It would have been nice to have a chance, don't you think? You all should get a chance.
It's because of Bond's relentlessness that as an audience, we genuinely feel the emotional impact of his sacrifice at the very end. Throughout this franchise, people have constantly died for him. M, Vesper, Felix. Instead, in this film, he doesn't sacrifice himself to save the world, he dies for his daughter and for Swan. As the character says to his family moments before death,
You have all the time in the world.
as I said before, I've always enjoyed Bond movies. I don't think there's a Bond film I really don't like. Even Quantum of Solace is, like, fine. But No Time to Die was the first time I watched one of these movies and found myself invested in a truly emotional way. This wasn't just your average Bond outing, this was something a little more. Fukunaga's handling of Craig's final outing was special, touching, and something that I will be thinking about for months and years to come. No Time to Die to me is a masterclass in emotional stakes, and because of its success, I really hope more blockbusters use its handling of the matter as a vital resource.